everyone. Welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin. And today we have a special guest continuing the series on our podcast, Heal and Be Healthy, The Journey. And today we have Yaima Alvarez, and Claire Miller is going to take it away.
My honor to introduce this wonderful woman. She is a certified integrative health practitioner, a quantum biofeedback practitioner, a mindset coach. She is the founder and CEO of VibrantYOU Wellness, the go-to resource for the serious health seeker who is tired of conventional health systems and is looking for integrative and well-rounded solution to address the root cause of your health issues. This wonderful woman happens to be my dear friend. And among everything else, her integrity and her desire to be a person that helps others is just paramount to who she is as a person. So I'm excited to introduce you and to ask you to please share with us, how did you get into all of this? What was the beginning for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me into your podcast. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be here sitting with you ladies today. And what started me in this journey that I am today is back in 2010, I developed ulcerative colitis. So like most of us who are in this healing path, that's where actually my journey started. And at the time, I had just finished my master's in accounting. It was an accelerated program. I had a 2-year-old daughter. So I guess the craziness and the stress and the pressure that I was put under, that's what triggered this illness for me. And after being treated under conventional under the conventional system for 3 years and seeing no improvement. And after the doctor told me that after 10 years on the medication, my chances for developing colon cancer would increase by 40%. When he gave me those news, that kind of hit me. And that was back in 2013, I believe. So I was like, I felt like my heart wrenched because I was so young. I had a daughter, I had a whole life ahead of me. I'm like, how can I put a death sentence on me? So I'm like, there has to be another way. And he kept telling me, no, just keep eating what you're eating, keep doing what you're doing. And just, you just have to stay on the medication for the rest of your life because you have a chronic disease, which is not reversible. And it's treatable, but it's not, there's nothing you can do about it. So that's when actually my quest for the truth started. And I began looking into videos of other doctors, Japanese doctors who were treating people with juicing. And actually that's when someone opened a door for me to the world of spirituality and connecting with my inner self, which is something that was completely new to me at the time. So in the path of making all of these changes, I had to make changes to my eating habits, but I also had to make a lot of changes to my emotional situation. Dealing a lot with doing a lot of forgiveness work, shadow work, and in releasing all of those things that I was holding for so many years, particularly for things that I was dealing with for my father in particular, and being able to forgive him and forgive myself, and making all of these changes with regards to nutrition and my thoughts, changing the perspective about life in general. That's actually what brought on the healing onto me. I quit the medication when I started making all of these changes, and within 5 to 6 months, all of the symptoms stopped. And I have been colitis free since 2013.
Yeah.
So I can say been there, done that. And that's when actually I started learning and researching and finding the truth about how our body truly heals. And from there, I've been through so many different journeys, from supplements to I did a certification in 2020, an Integrative Health Practitioner certification. And then I was introduced to quantum biofeedback in 2021. I knew about it, but I never practiced it before. So I've been practicing with quantum biofeedback myself and my family. That's how I started since 2021, and learning other different modalities of healing aside from just the regular supplement and herbals model. So, and now recently I was introduced to homeopathy. So I'm trying to lay a foundation and learn more about it because I find it fascinating, and it really complements really well with what I do and with the healing modalities that I bring to my clients. And that's really where I am right now.
That's amazing. So Yaima, you have many different tools in your toolbox, which, you know, as this series continues, it seems like all the healers that we're interviewing don't just have one thing they specialize in, they have multiple different things. Now, when a client comes to you, what is the process? Because, you know, you have the quantum biofeedback, you have the mindset coaching, you have shadow work, like all these different things. How do you determine which tools to use with what client?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so it depends again on the situation and the case of the client. For if they come in with chronic conditions, etc., I order lab work as well. I can request lab work for my clients. So I like to see a lab work to see what the blood is telling me, what those markers are indicating. So I usually order lab work. And then based on that, and also the questionnaire that I have them fill out, where I ask several questions from their history, not only physical health history from themselves and their parents and family history, but also things such as childhood traumas, if they have any dental work, any fillings, root canals, things like that, because everything, I believe that there is everything that puts together the picture of that client, what symptoms they're presenting. There's a story behind it, and the story is more than just the epigenetics. And the story is more than just, you know, what you inherit from your family, or what you just caused yourself because of your lifestyle and your thinking habits. So after I gather all that information, and I kind of see what's the like I have a better picture of my case, right? I also complement that with biofeedback. Now, not everybody is receptive to doing energetic work, right? So I respect that from the client. So I ask for permission. And if they're not, then we just proceed the regular route. But if they're open to this world of energetics, and I run the scan, and I do, which I use that as a validation of also blood work, because I've been able to corroborate certain indicators from blood work with things that are coming up in these energetic scans. Then I'm able to balance the client. If the client allows me, of course, I'm able to balance them through biofeedback and send them frequencies so they can help, they can continue, you know, playing those frequencies. And that will also open up and speed up the healing process.
Now, you mentioned shadow work. So, and you're a mindset coach. So I'm a life coach. I don't have any like speciality as far as what I do. I just kind of like do it all. But I have recently evolved my shadow work because, you know, if there is behaviors that is coming out from a shadowy aspect of it, the direction that I have gone is that this is an expression of unmet, like chronically unmet needs. And so a lot of times the shadow will take it upon itself to vocalize, because you won't, but she will, and express this. So, there's so many different ways to do shadow work. So I'm curious about, like, one, your approach, and then also like what, anyone that any coach that does shadow work has done their own shadow work. So maybe if you want to talk a little bit about that, because I think that it's something that people are interested in. It's kind of a buzzword, a buzz topic. And I think people are a little, like, for example, my sister, my dear sister, she was getting ready to come to my coach course, and she took a bunch of photos of her shadow, like she was just like dancing in the woods. And she's like, I'm doing shadow work. I was like, not quite. So could you explain that a little bit?
Of course. And maybe my interpretation of shadow work was probably different than your interpretation.
Sure.
Here's how I approach it, how I see it, and how I use it with my clients. It's the inner work. It's understanding that everything that it's presented to us, whether it's an experience, an interaction with someone, a situation in our lives, those are reflections of things that need to be worked on. Everything that happens to us, it's happening for us. So people that have certain situations that repeat with different people, they go to a job, they experience certain encounters, uncomfortable situations, then they leave that job to go to another one. And there's a pattern that always repeats. And those patterns are simply ways that the universe is trying to tell us, right? Okay, there's things that need to be worked on. We have to look into ourselves and say, okay, what is the emotion that I'm feeling? What is the emotion that this situation is bringing upon me? Is it reject? Is it it's anger, but do I feel rejected? Do I feel? So then go deep and find the point in my life when I first felt that emotion. So it's like going back chronologically. So let's say the first time that I recall is at 3 years old, my mom used to just brush me off, and then I felt like she never told me she loved me, and my whole life, and I've been just dealing with this, and every time I meet a person, a partner, and I feel like that I'm not appreciated, that I'm not loved, and I'm always constantly looking for that relationship that actually gives me that I want. So that kind of work it's that kind of situation. That's what I'm trying to bring up to the person, and which I had to do that work myself to understand that everything that happens is because there's something that we need to work on. And once we realize that, and once we're able to bring that from our subconscious mind to our conscious mind, and we're able to release this person, whether it's my mother, my father, from that situation, and asking for forgiveness for the person, and asking for forgiveness for myself for all of these years, for carrying that for all of these years. Once that is released, then that situation does not present itself anymore, because I have already worked it out.
That's wonderful. So, underneath that, is there a belief that the person is holding on to? Like, I'll share a personal example. So for me, I used to carry a lot of shame around, because there was a part of me that thought I was undeserving of unconditional love. Like I might be deserving of conditional love, but for me, unconditional love is just like, you had to earn your spot on this planet. And I remember, my dad, he's much better about this now, but he was kind of a workaholic for a while. And I remember, like, he picked me up one time, and I was like, oh, like, I'm so excited to see you, Dad. I haven't seen you in like months. And then we drove to Quick Check, which was his second job that he had. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to be a minute. Why don't you come in with me? And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought he was just like picking up a paycheck or something. he scheduled in a few hours of work. And I was like, I haven't seen you in months. Like, what's going on? And anyways, he was like tossing boxes to me, like to have me help him. And he said something that it was like, I realized that I had adopted that. He says, you know, every day I feel like I need to earn my spot on this planet. And I was like, like, just to hear him say that, I was like, holy shit, that's a belief that I had. And that's one of the things that like my shadow kind of like adopted that part. So, you know, I found that there is common beliefs, like they might not be worded exactly the same, but common beliefs that people hold on to that cause like guilt and shame and anger and like you said, the rejection and all of that. So like, did you have a belief that you were holding on to that you were able to release through this process?
Yes. And that was a program that was inherited from my parents. That I remember when I was little and I used to live in Cuba, and he used to tell me, you don't need to ask me for every time I had economical situations over there, and he was much better off than I was. My parents were divorced, so I lived with my mother, and he had better means to access food than I had. So I remember whenever I got a chance to go to his house and that I was returning back to my house, I would ask him for things like, you know, do you have extra meat? Do you have extra these that you could share with me? And then he would get upset about that. He would just say, you know, you don't have to ask me for anything, me or anybody. So that kind of stick with me. So I'm like, you know, why would he say that? But he repeated it so many times that I've always felt like, you know, I'm self-sufficient. I'm not gonna ask for anybody for anything. And that kind of stuck with me. So over the years, I had to learn that, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to ask. It's okay to you know, to open up, to ask for help. And that was one of the things that I had to do, right? And yes, those are programs that are imprinted in our subconscious, but they're not our own programs. We inherited that from our parents, where we're conditioned by our parents, by our family, by society, with all of these programs. And those are the programs that we're really running 90% of the time. That's our subconscious.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
you know, that's so interesting that you would say that. I called it a little different. I call it self-defeating behaviors. And there's always a script that's going on. So my thought is, I want to know how you change the script inside of you, because often when we inherit those programs, we have a lot of self-talk, a lot of negative self-talk that promulgates that program to continue inside of us. So how did you change that particular thing in you? Did you alter it by saying something different? Did you have mantras that you said? What was that evolution inside of you?
yes. Well, in order for those programs to change, because we're not children anymore, so we're not in that theta state anymore. So the best time to change these programs is by repetition. So that's how we can overwrite the program, by repetition. So I would first, you know, for many different things, I would, you know, look at myself in the mirror, tell myself, you know, I love you, you're amazing, you're beautiful. But for this particular program that I got from my father, it was right at bedtime, when I was getting into that state of, you know, dozing off. I would start in my mind just repeating, it's okay to ask. It's okay to ask. There's nothing wrong. I can ask. I can ask for things. I can ask for help. It's okay. I'm comforted. So I would just try to give myself peace and comfort, and just repeating that. And I would say it's not my father's fault. This is probably something that his parents did to him. He's a victim as well. So, you know, just working through that process of understanding that what he's doing is actually another program that he's been carrying from his childhood. So, and he was passing that to me unknowingly. So just being able to, before I go to bed, just say to myself, it's okay. It's fine. It's not your father's fault. It's, and just be able to forgive him and just say, I forgive you. I forgive myself, and just bless him. So that kind of like put me at ease with him, with myself, and with the situation. So that was just one of the examples. So by repeating that and then just doing it, just asking people, when everybody offered help, I would say, yes, of course. I used to be the one that would reject everything. But then opening myself to that and accept it. It felt uncomfortable at first, but then over time it became more natural. And then just changing my perspective of life in general, not being so obnoxious and trying to be so perfectionist with everything. Just letting go and understanding that, it's okay. It's fine. It's just coming to terms with myself.
That is very, very powerful. And I'd like to explain to the audience that this process of letting go, everyone has to do it. It is part of life. It's part of evolving and moving ahead, and holding on to things that burden you is not a good plan, because that's what brings on disease. It brings on a loss of relationships. It brings on loss of many other things. And so I love what you're saying about being able to let go. That's a profound thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's would be in alignment with the work of Dr. Hawkins, is it right? His book Letting Go, and how there's different emotions carry different frequencies and vibrations, right? So gratitude and joy, like these types of emotions, are very healing for us to be in. And mention of the subconscious programming, if in the background, we have all these subconscious belief systems that are not addressed, but we're, maybe saying like, oh no, it's fine. Like there's this meme I think of that I think is kind of funny, because so many people are like this. It's this like dog that's sitting at like a table, and he has like a little hat on and a bow tie, and he says, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. But like in the background, you see everything is like hellfire, and like things are like people are screaming and burning, and he just has this sort of disassociated look on his face. But yeah, subconscious belief systems too, it's like they don't always logically make sense. It's like if we've had, like you said, programming from when we were a child, that stuff happened when we were just developing our brain. So it's in there. It's sort of like in the back, pushed in the back of the closet, and we might not realize they're there, but they're really sort of like the gatekeepers into some of our behavior patterns. And so what I have found that I like to say in this podcast is, I think that positive affirmations are a wonderful thing. And certainly being in a certain state, I like how you said, like right when you're about to fall asleep, because for me, I like to meditate right when I wake up, because you still have like that touch of DMT. The pineal gland is maybe a little bit more active, so you're more suggestive. But, and I want to just like ask you about this as another coach, I have found that if people don't like sit with their feelings first and like surrender to that and like process that, and then they try to just jump ahead and just do, oh, it's fine. Everything's, I forgive them. I am loved. It's like, it comes off as a little fake. And I have found that it's kind of like creates this resistance in the body. Now I've heard different, and this is just out of curiosity, I've heard different approaches to this. Like for me, going in and feeling like the shame and the disappointment in a safe space, and like allowing the body to process it, kind of like facing your fear, creating the space, then pulling in the positive affirmation, and even using modifiers like for example, if I had somebody, I was coaching someone who was like morbidly obese, and she, she wanted to like love her body, but she was, for her to say, oh, my body's perfect and I love it. And like her body was like, hell no. But if we use modifiers, like maybe just for right now, I can love my body. For her, it was much more palatable. So I guess like, on that note, like what does that process look for you as far as like the affirmations?
I totally agree with you on that. And that's very similar to the approach that I take. Yes, like you're saying, just denying the fact that there's an emotion, a negative emotion behind it, and just pretending that everything is fine and everything is cool. That's not realistic. And that's really not the right approach to do it. So I do it similar to what you do. It's, you have to feel the emotion. You have to allow that emotion to surface. And if you have to relieve that event, if you have to relieve it in your memory and bring it to the present moment, that's actually the best way, because that's when you actually are able to heal it. When you bring it to the present moment, as if it's happening right now. So you're feeling everything, you are just relieving it. And then that's when you actually are able to come face to face, whether it's the fear, whether it's the anger, whether it's whatever emotion it is, just deal with it at the moment and then release it, as opposed to just pushing it to the back and just pretending that it went away and it never did.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's I've been doing coaching for almost 10 years now. So it's like validating to like talk to another coach that's like, yes, absolutely. Like that's the approach I use as well, because like, one saying that I have heard that I agree with, it's like, the worst thing in life that we can experience is an emotion. Like if you think about like what drives us, like what actions, right? It's like, but I love this person. I don't want them to get hurt. Okay. Like why? Because, well, that would be awful. Okay. But why? Why would it be awful? Because I would feel terrible. It's about our experience, our relationship with other people, and, reclaiming our autonomy over our own emotion and being present with it and facing it and creating space between us and the story. Like how you mentioned before, it's like, you're growing up and like your parents like are rejecting you, or they're, like implanting these like toxic belief systems that, they're doing the best they can, right? We forgive them, but like being able to create space between the story and you and the subconscious belief systems, drawing into the present moment and processing. It's like our bodies are, so just fine-tuned to be able to heal themselves. It's just, you have to give them the tools, right? And when there's a buildup of like this toxic residue of too many suppressed emotions, then, you're going to be, I don't know, just like kind of in this this internal shitstorm.
I have a question. One of the things when I'm coaching that I find that has helped me, and I wondered if it plays into what you do, is that we count cost. Often when we're looking at the emotions, and we're putting, how much is this costing you to maintain this particular thing? For example, if I'm working with somebody who is dealing with overeating, or what is this costing you? What is it costing you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically? What prices are you having to pay? And so if you are talking about the prices, then you're saying, okay, that's the reality of where you are right now, and you don't need to be there anymore. Let's shift it over. Do you find that looking at the reality of where they are and maybe counting the cost, or looking at that, is also helpful in giving them the motivation to move ahead and make changes?
I like that, Claire.
Me too.
That's really good point that you bring. And I actually haven't thought about it in the way that you just described it. But yes, absolutely. It's showing them, right, the cost of their health, right? If they continue on that path of self-destruction, how much could it cost? Not only financially, but also physically, emotionally, and in all aspects, right? Whereas if they change, right, how much they can liberate themselves, right? From so many things, not only from their illness or whatever their sufferings are, but also from other stuff that they may not even be aware about. So sometimes people don't even think about, they're so immersed in the problem, in the issues that they have, that they don't even think about the cost, like you said.
There's
They don't see themselves from the outside, they're in the inside.
right. There's a book, I'm sure you've all read it, The Christmas Carol, but and in The Christmas Carol, Jacob Marley stands up before Scrooge and say, "These are the chains I forged in life." And so I like to take and when we're writing down the cost and I make it visible in front of them, I make it into chains. Here's this change, here's this link, here's this link. These are the chains we forge in life. And then how do we break those chains so we're no longer bound by them? But it's really a powerful tool. It's helped me a great deal in coaching. That's why I was curious if that was something to look at.
No, but I like it.
We're going to take that tool, Claire, and just slide it into our toolbox now. So thank you very much.
Hey, great. Great.
One of the benefits of having, us, as we say in yoga, sangha or kula, spiritual community of healers that we can, talk to and, learn from one another. That's kind of the spirit of this whole series, is to, it's like people coming together that are healers, and to, hear their perspective and their approach, because you always get something a little bit different, and that helps us to evolve together. I wanted to ask Yaima if the biofeedback, now, how does that help? Does that help also with subconscious belief systems? Or maybe you can explain that to some of our listeners a little bit more in depth, so that they can, I guess, discern if that is something that's for them, or they can even just be educated on it. Because I think there's a lot of information floating around, and people might not recognize, maybe the particular way that you do it. Could you explain a little bit?
Yes, definitely. Okay, so the way that the biofeedback bioresonance works is it scans the person by using their date of birth, their voice, and also their full name. And it gives information as to what are the things that are out of alignment, out of resonance. Okay, it could be whether it's from the physical body, whether it's from the mind, or whether even it's from our etheric field. Because again, we go back to the point that everything at the end of the day, it's really energy and vibration. So everything, our cells, even when disease starts to appear, again, is because the vibration is lower, right? And it's an energetic state at the end of the day, that it could just manifest into a physical ailment. Yes, but at the end of the day, it's emotional. But again, emotional is tied to a vibration, because depending on your emotional state, that's your vibrational state.
Yes.
So we go that everything is energy, there's frequency, there's vibration. So these scans, they're energetic scans. So they're basically scanning your body and receiving the input from your body on so many different areas that is built in the app, right? To try to gauge where the issues may be, right? Sometimes, yeah, there's more issues that are really on the physical, but there's a lot of times that a lot of the issues really are coming from the emotional plane. So yes, I run the frequencies, whatever really comes up for the person, as those frequencies that could be beneficial for the person, or things that could be out of balance, to try to balance them. And when I send those frequencies through the app for the person, again, I do this remotely because this follows the laws of quantum physics, where there's no time and no space. So because there's an energetic signature for this person, those frequencies will just reach the person within immediately as they're playing. And again, these are like, I think of these as like packets of information that is flowing. And the person's cells are receiving this information. These are like codes. So it is receiving, the body is receiving these codes, whatever is programmed to be sent out with this frequency. And it uses a combination of, but there's a combination of Bach flower essences, solfeggiotones, there's Grabovoi numbers in there as well. There's a combination of so many different things. And basically what these frequencies are doing is essentially is just balancing the person. Whatever is really unbalanced, that's what actually is being balanced for the person. So it could be, maybe there could be some subconscious beliefs that are there. And by using the app and showing what emotions are coming up, it's a way of bringing those things from the subconscious to the person's awareness and say, look, these are the emotions that are coming up. These are the Bach flower essences. And this is a story that they're telling. And then they go, oh, yes, that's true. You know, that resonates with me. So that's the way that we do it.
Can I just say, I've had the opportunity to use the system, and I was coming off of Omicron and having some real issues with my upper respiratory and trying to get it back online. I developed long haulers, and you may have worked with me with that. And well, first of all, I was a little bit of a doubting Thomas when we first started. And I thought, okay, I'll try this, because I was open to try anything that could help me stop the asthma from being such a player in my life. I'm busy. I don't want to be bothered with that. And and so I started that, and she sent me these recordings, and I played them, and I thought, I wonder, but all of a sudden, I was able to start breathing, and the panic in my lungs started to dissipate, of worried about whether I could catch my breath, worried whether I could breathe deeply enough. And it just became a major assist to help me further my health. And it was really amazing what all the things that came up. And I kept going as she'd send them these codes to me to play. I'd go, wow, I didn't even tell her about this. Wow, look at this. Wow, this is so great. And really has been such a blessing in my life. Yeah.
I'm so glad.
It was fun.
You know what I say in my, I love how you said, like, there's like information that's being given, there's sort of like, packages of data. I say things like that in my yoga class when, I watch people come in to take a practice, and, people unroll their mat. We all have our lives. We get caught up in our head, and we use the breath. We draw inward. We use like mudra, pranayama, drishti, like directing the eyes. And, towards the end of practice, I can tell that people they're more connected with the consciousness from their heart space, which is what yoga is about, that inner healing. And, when people lay in Shavasana, I say, now integration happens. You might notice tingles. You might just notice sensations in your body. You might just feel a sense of peace, but most people feel a kind of subtle energy that always exists within them. And we say in yoga, this is access to the subconscious realm. And what is happening is, again, information exchange is happening. Rivers of energy are opening up and clearing out, toxic belief systems, clearing out, ama, waste material inside the body. And so again, it's just like really cool to hear another healer say, yes, like these frequencies are exchanging data and information in your body. And the cool thing is that your mind doesn't have to have any involvement when you're in that space, which is probably good, because a lot of times the mind will be like, this is stupid and I don't get it. Let's turn it off. And your mind is such a, obviously with your emotions can come from your thoughts, right? You think something and then you have your thought is a catalyst for a vibration within you, which is the emotion, right? And like Yaima said, emotions are just frequencies, vibrations. So anyways, my point is that universal truths always sync up. And so hearing it from these are just different tools, which are so awesome. Like people have a variety. And Yaima, the biofeedback, that is something that people can access long distance, correct? Like they can work with you long distance. Yes.
Yes. All my coaching is long distance. All of my sessions are through Zoom. So I do the scan on the first session. We go through everything, I explain everything. And then the first session includes 1 week worth of frequencies. And then if they want to continue, they can subscribe, and I can do weekly balances for them without them having to be present. So I can scan them every week, see what's up, what are the things that are relevant for that week, and then balance them. So yes, I have libraries of many different things for respiratory issues, for sleep, for anxiety, for digestion.
Oh, send me some sleep and digestion.
And I know those are things that are so relevant these days for many people. I have a client who has chronic stage kidney disease, so I'm working with her kidneys. I have a stage 4 cancer client who have been using strictly frequencies. I have and also dietary changes, but nothing else. And we started working in November of 2021. He was told by the doctors that he had only in April of that year, he was told that he had less than 1 year to live.
Wow.
And here we are still 2 years plus almost after, and he's doing great. So now I plan to incorporate other things, such as Tim's formulas. He's ready for it now. After talking about it with him, and he's finally coming to I'm ready now. And then implementing other homeopathic remedies. Definitely, I think we'll be able to push the needle on that and make the shift that he needs.
Yeah, selling them. I get it. So it's funny because us all being practitioners under the Goyecha cell response therapy, I can literally show people a before and after photo of themselves, and they're like, yeah, and I feel different and I feel great. They're like, but I'm not sure it's working. I'm like, it's just, as natural, like holistic healers, you have to fight so much of this like Western med mindset. And, sometimes it's an uphill battle, but, I like to think that we're fighting the good fight. So, I want to say, Yaima, thank you so much for your service and, all the wonderful things that you're doing for people. And, you've healed yourself and healing your family and healing other people, like long distance, and just some of the stories like kidney disease and cancer. Like, thank you so much for sharing that. How can people find you? How can they reach out to you? How can they get in touch? How can they book a session?
Okay, they can find me. I'm in heal.me as well. They can find me in heal.me. Look for Yaima Alvarez. I'm working on a website right now, but they also can find me in social media.
Can you spell so everybody can know?
Yeah, for the website, you mean? Yeah.
For webs or however they can find you, message you on social
they can
media.
find me. Yes, in Heal, HEAL, .me. And then once they're in the website, they can look up my name, Yaima Alvarez.
Okay.
YAIMA Alvarez, ALVAREZ. Or in social media, under my page in Facebook is VibrantYOU Wellness. Or under Yaima Alvarez in Facebook.
Okay, awesome. It's been awesome interviewing you and getting to know a little bit about your healing journey and getting to know also about the different techniques that you use. Claire, any last parting comments, words, questions, or yeehaws?
Oh, can I? Yeehaw! Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
My rodeo girl.
I love my tribe. Yes. Can I just say thank you? Thank you so much for sharing today and for your friendship and everything else. I love that we're all sisters and that we love one another and that we have the desire to help other people to find their healing path. And so I encourage anyone listening to please check out this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opportunity to take your journey a little bit further. Yaima, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And Erin, I love you dearly. You are the best ever. I'm just excited to be with great people.
Do go on.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone. Have a fantastic day. And I'm excited to share this with our listeners. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@ErinCoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Thank you so much. Namaste.